William, hopefully your favorite videographer. We are here at the Dallas Area Rapid Transit Board meeting about October 22nd, 2013. The agency known as D.A.R.T to Dallas, Texas residents. As a service to the Dallas community, we plan to cover D.A.R.T board meetings from gavel to gavel. This week, they don't have a quorum of members to pass any business, but I don't suspect any important decisions this week. So we will move quickly to public comments and a short meeting. Have a great day.
Imagine 3 or 4 decades ago. And you see a lot of the figures as you juggle with maintenance and repairs. Carolinas may be pleased that more women earn commercial licenses needed to operate our buses. That's more in sync with D.A.R.T's high female ridership. Our members question why D.A.R.T's 3,000 plus staff not match certain ethnic percentages. Dr. Roberson explained how census tracts do not fit every piece of the service area. Employees' residences may be in neighboring cities and counties. And regional growth has outpaced government data collection. She noted meeting and recruiting efforts with numerous education and business organizations and the efforts to attract job seekers. The FTA standards recognize some of the unique industry characteristics and allow D.A.R.T to seek out the best qualified job seekers for available positions. CAC members urged more intense recruiting efforts at area trade schools. defining our issues and concerns tracking process consumed the remainder of our agenda that evening. Your thoughts on citizens' concerns will certainly be welcome. And please feel free to join us in room 1C on any third Thursday of the month. And we do thank you ever so much for the time and effort you spend in keeping D.A.R.T going in the right direction. We hope to keep helping you. Thank you.
Mr. Chair. Thank you very much, Mr. Brady. Mr. Chairman,
I just like to point out that David Brady has been a charter member of the Citizen Advisory Committee for over a quarter of a century. He was one of the original members that I had the privilege to serve with, and here he is, 25 years later, still serving in that capacity. I wanted to commend him for that.
Our next agenda item is the PAG report, and most importantly, the recognition of the most valuable driver.
Good afternoon. That is working with Citizen Advisory Center. Chris Walters of Community Affairs opened our meeting at 9:04 and announced the ADA meeting, which was held on Saturday, October 19th in the Richardson Civic Center. Ms. Walters also told us about the D.A.R.T app, which is a quick, convenient way to pay for our D.A.R.T passes, and also the D-Link shuttle scheduled to launch on November 4th. The minutes of July 19th meeting stood as written. There was a roundtable discussion with representatives from various agencies and consumers of D.A.R.T Transit that expressed their experiences of the service delivery since our last PAG meeting. And with the exception of a few isolated events of lengthy long ride time, the group noticed improvements on on-time performance as a whole and time holding for scheduling and where's my ride. The PAG members also noticed that the attitude of the taxi operators have improved greatly since the mandatory sensitivity training. Kendra Bullard went over the July, August, and September performance indicators for mobility management, and Stephen Bourne's rail program development gave an update of the level boarding and wayfinding. He also brought in samples of tiles and textures and got input from PAG members who were visually impaired and some that are also work with the Division for the Blind. Ann Rose was introduced as the new orientation and mobility trainer for persons with visual impairment. The agenda for January 2014 was created, and the meeting was adjourned at 10:25 a.m. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your report. It was informative, and enjoyed hearing about some of the more positive attitudes. Thank you.
Tonight,
Being more valuable driver award?
yes, sir. Tonight we recognize our most valuable driver. This is an operator that is due double honor. Not only have we but also the most valuable driver of the year, and he also has an extra twist. And to tell this story is the Director of Community Outreach for MB Transportation, John Taylor.
Thank you, Lord. On June 30th, driver Danny McNeil did something that I thought was really tremendous. No one talked to you about it today. First, driver McNeil started working with the D.A.R.T Transit program in June of 2012 with Veolia, and then moved over to MB Transportation. On July 30th, I was in my office, and a road supervisor, field supervisor, came in and said that driver McNeil had found something on his bus. I asked what it was. She said money. So that was a small purse and a badge. I looked in there, it was over $1,000. I called, I looked the person that was there, and I called the number. Miss Bill answered the phone. Miss Bill, my name is John Taylor. I'm with MB Transportation. Did you travel with us today? She said, yes. I said, did you lose anything? She said, I don't think so. I said, Miss Bill, did you misplace any money at all? She said, I don't think so, but I lose money all the time. Maybe $50. I said, Miss Bill, did you go and check your purse? So it was gone about 20 minutes. I got the phone there about 20 minutes. And she finally came back and I could hear the stress. And she said, I lost my money. I said, could you give me a idea about how much that was? She said, it was over $1,000. $1,113. Driver McNeil had found that money and returned it to us, and we were able to get it back to Miss Bill that night. I'd like to ask Driver McNeil to tell the rest of the story.
Well, it was on Friday, and as I was doing my duties, I noticed the purse. I put it up when I got to base, took it in, counted the money. Well, I counted the money to see who it was while I was in the bus. When I saw the money, I said, well, I need to turn this money in, as a Christian man would. And when I got into the base, people was going, man, you kept the money, blah, blah, blah. I said, man, you must not know, because I had the fear of the Lord in your heart. You reap what you sow. So we went through that, and Keith, the operator over there, he was walking through it, and I said, well, this guy got written all over, because it was on a Friday, and on Sunday I had to work. And usually it was every year, on that Sunday, I'm usually having a big birthday party. And I had to work that Sunday, so it was on a Friday. So when I saw Keith, I said, yeah, this is God. And so when he saw what was going on, he said, well, come into the office, he was talking to me. And he said, since you did what you did, I'm going to let you have a day off of pay, choose a day. I said, well, let me off on Sunday so I can worship my Lord and celebrate my birthday. And so when they called me back the next day, said I had an envelope from me. They had took the money to Miss Bill. I opened the envelope, it was $60 in it. I said, well, I read her letter where she had told them that it was all the money she had. And so I said, well, I got to find her and give that $60 back. So it took about a month for me to search her out and find her. I finally found her at D.A.R.T coming out. And I said, Miss Bill, you going to appreciate it? Yeah, you was the man that earned my money. I really want to appreciate that, because I would have been in the street if you hadn't. I said, well, that was just a duty of mine I was doing. And so I gave her the $60 back that she had gave me as a reward. And I'm just doing what I taught to do, trained to do, and believed to do.
Well, as a result of these actions, Driver McNeil has been recognized as the driver of the quarter selected by D.A.R.T and MB Transportation collectively, as well as the driver of the year for Republic. At the tag meeting, he was actually presented both this plaque, driver of the quarter, and this plaque of driver of the year. He also was given 2 pins that he's wearing. He's wearing his 2 pins, both signifying driver of the year, driver of the quarter. MB also has a program called MB Cares. We have over 16,000 drivers worldwide. And I do know that last year, only 3 drivers earned that award, so it's pretty important before we will give that award out. And he will be giving this award next week to our senior executive team at our corporate headquarters next week. And he's going to get some checks and a lot of money and some nice things. A lot of things go with this, and we certainly appreciate you, and what you are, what you've been, and what you mean to this organization.
Thanks, sir.
And following Mr. Skelton is Mr. Bradley McDonald.
Hello, how you doing today? I want to give thanks to my Lord Jesus Christ and my God. And I want to thank you guys for letting me be here and thank you. And I mean, this is my first time speaking to a congregation like this, speaking and you know, in person with people like this. I never had a chance to speak. I didn't prepare a speech or anything. I just speak from the heart. I want to say that I go to the D.A.R.T meetings much as I can, and somebody asked me to come and express my opinion about coming to the meeting. We have a real D.A.R.T mobility ride alert team, and that's basically telling me that you guys are having a meeting today, and they say come and let your voice be heard. And I wonder, and I thought about what they mean by letting my voice be heard. What voice did they ask me to speak of? What voice they asked me to talk about? And when I go to the meeting, I generally speak to the people that's at the meeting that have a major disability. Maybe they have a problem with their eyesight. Maybe they have a problem with walking. Back in 2002, I was diagnosed with this thing they call multiple sclerosis. I don't know how many of you know that, but most sclerosis due to people. But I've been blessed by God. He gave me the ability to stand. He gave me the ability to be able to speak. He has given me the ability to be able to talk. He has given me the ability to see everything I need to see in this world. And what I mean by that, there are some people that has a disability that has more problems than I could ever think about how they are dealing with their problem. And when I go to the meeting, sometimes I see the people and I like to give them encouragement. I like to let them know that God's on their side. God is there to help them and build them up. And let them know that, is that good with me? I mean, when I know because when you talk to them, you build something all the time. But when I go to the meeting, I enjoy going to the meeting. I enjoy building up those that need to be built up. I enjoy inspiring those that need to be inspired. I enjoy talking with those that need somebody to talk to, because sometimes they do get a little lonely if you're at the house by yourself and you have no help and you have to do everything for yourself. And my point is, I thank you guys for making it available, D.A.R.T. I thank you for making it available that we can catch D.A.R.T. We can have the bus, they'll come pick us up, and I know that's time. And I thank you, in Jesus' name, I thank you for letting me speak. And that's all I have to say to my brothers. My time is up. Y'all have a nice day.
Mr. Kelvin, if you would wait a moment, Doug Douglas, would you the next speaker is Mr. Bradley McDonald. Mr. Bradley, yes. Good evening. Good evening.
I came to speak on, and this may be another issue Doug was going to handle, on the fact that I use express booking. All I get is a cab, and the only time that the voicemail booking process is open is on holiday. And that's the only way I can book, because I'm van only. And the guy who just came up here and said that cabs are doing wonderful and cabs are doing great. Cabs aren't doing so great, from what I'm hearing from my other people. Cabs are still messing up. And we're losing more of the good drivers that actually do the job. and actually know what they're doing. That's all I came to say.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Conlon. Our next speaker is Mr. William Sanders.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is William Sanders Jr. I live at 3016 Moultrie Avenue, Dallas, Texas, 75216. I shall be brief, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for this opportunity again. And I echo with lines I heard before I was called concerning Jesus, our Lord. And I've said it once, I've said it twice, I've said it many times. I have never been, I hope I never will be afraid to honor our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Amen, brother. For that, Mr. Chairman, I respectfully request from the executive director, you are the executive director, Mr. Chairman, that I have the opportunity to sit down with someone in a high position to talk about a few things. I don't want to bring it publicly to this board because I don't want it to be turned as not respecting the board, the chair, the executive director. In a personal setting, I think I will be able to express myself. I think I will be able to ask questions that I would like answered. And along those lines, I think it will be a prosperous meeting. With that being said, I do know that there are three things I need to consider. I need to stand up to be seen. I need to speak up to be heard. And I need to shut up to be appreciated. That being said, I would like to say to board member John C. Danish, Mr. Danish, put that salt shaker down.
Excuse me, Mr. Sanders? Sure. Your request. If we have your phone number, you will be contacted this week by telephone.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. My apologies to Mr. Grady Cole. I had skipped over his name. Mr. Cole, thank you.
Good evening. My name is Grady Quorum. I live in the Lakewood section of Dallas. I am also Director of Music and Organist at Northridge Presbyterian Church in the northern part of Lakewood. One of my singers, whom I shall call MJ, grew up in my congregation and is a totally blind client of D.A.R.T's paratransit services. Several years ago, the church began purchasing D.A.R.T paratransit coupons for MJ to come to services and choir rehearsals rather than asking him to buy his own. Because of the understandable difficulties of scheduling rides following rehearsals and schedules and services, we rotate taking him home about a 15-minute drive. 3 or 4 years ago, we began to pay MJ to arrive in time to sing the hymns for our smaller congregation at our 8:30 Sunday morning services. For the most part, he arrives between an hour to an hour and a half before that service begins. But on Sunday, October the 6th, and again on October the 13th, he arrived after the service had begun and was so agitated by his tardiness, especially on the 6th, that he was unable to come sing. On the 13th, he called me around 8:15 to let me know that his ride had been rescheduled for 8:45, and he would not be there. Unfortunately, that ride did not deliver him to the church until after 10 o'clock, at which point he was so distressed that he could not participate even in the choir at the 11 o'clock service, and one of my singers left early to take him home. This past Sunday, MJ did arrive about 15 minutes before the service began and was able to participate and receive his pay for the service. I recall reading an article in the Dallas Morning News a couple of weeks ago about the fines which D.A.R.T has been collecting from the new paratransit contractor. I wonder if you might consider using some of those fines to compensate your paratransit clients for the inconvenience or even their lost wages. Anything from a small check with an apology to a free book of coupons might be appropriate. And, by the way, does D.A.R.T provide instructions or communication for blind clients in Braille? Thank you.
The next speaker is over Rayvon. Thank you.
Yes, good evening. I've been here before you all before. Some of the problems, I'm coming to you with problems, and some of the problems I have addressed here. One of the problems, and it'll be a small one and quick, is the bus stop at Santa, because y'all have a number for us to call to say you have a problem. This is on the D.A.R.T bus. I ride paratransit also, but I've addressed my problem with them. This is concerning the regular big D.A.R.T. My problem is the bus stop at Samuel and Buckner. I don't know how they built it, but they built the bus stop, and it's a nice bus stop. But they put 3 of the things that you have where the cars can't run up in there. It's across from Sam's and Walmart and all that. And there is no way for a person in a wheelchair to get to that bus stop. It's a nice bus stop, hood and all. That has not been corrected, and it has been addressed before. That's one of the things. The other thing is the drivers, for some reason, I've been riding paratransit for some time. I heard the young man say, well, he's been working for you all for 25 years. I've been riding D.A.R.T for 71. Here in Dallas Transit and then D.A.R.T. One of them is now that we're in wheelchairs, some of the drivers, you have good drivers. Some of them seem like they're angry, and they're kind of a little rude to handicapped patients. Not me per se, I can handle mine. But I watched one today rude to a handicapped patient. This should be addressed because, and this person was walking, they were handicapped, they were walking. I'm not seeing it. But the other one is, they're telling the people now, and he did that today with me getting on the bus, that the people don't have to move. ADA all of a sudden, either it's from you all supervisors, or telling the drivers that the people that are sitting on the seats where we can get in our wheelchairs are saying, we don't have to ask the people to move. Some people still move, but he made that announcement. People don't have to move, but they don't want to. But it's only 2 seats on the new buses. It's hard to get to it. So this should be addressed to whoever. Because you call in, like I say, to the complaint line, it's either over full or something because you never get any attention from that. That's one of the things. They said that the ADA, I don't think they did, but the sign says these seats are for people in wheelchairs. So I don't know, maybe the sign should be removed or something. The other one, and the last, is the new buses. I'm not going to say, call anybody, but someone made a mistake, and you all need to admit that and do something about it. Is the new bus is the one that you have to slide down. I'm in a wheelchair, and the other day I almost fell backwards going up on the ramp. If they don't park right at the curb, they don't drop it down. It bends down, but they don't. I have watched people, they won't pull up to the curb, so they get on. I have watched people jump that little space. All of that should be corrected. As I'm saying, I appreciate D.A.R.T as it used to be. I've been riding a long time. But there are problems that need to be corrected, and one of them is that new bus, it either needs to not be put on during full-time service. It's small, it's crowded, and you can't. And you all should try to ride in the bus. Even, it would be nice if y'all could borrow a wheelchair and ride in a wheelchair, and you will see what I am talking about in other people. And that's all. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Ms. Raymond.
Thank
you. You would see Mr. Tim Newby. That's still right over there.
I know Louis. Yes, I will. Thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker is Ms. Irene Geronis.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and the people here at D.A.R.T. This is my first time being here. I'm speaking on behalf of 509. Unfortunately, when I first started riding the D.A.R.T., it was a pleasant ride. It has been for a while now. And recently, in Irving, there are a lot of facilities that are hiring seasonal workers. Unfortunately, the accommodation for the people to ride the D.A.R.T. 509 are not being met. We have overcrowded buses. I mean, when I say overcrowded, you have people that are standing on the last step. All that door needs to do is open and somebody's going to fly out. I would rather a tragedy not happen than somebody address this issue. Your supervisor has been out there, your scheduler has been out there, but the days they need to go out there is on Mondays and Tuesdays, so they can see themselves how bad these buses are overloaded. We have pictures. If you follow the Twitter name is called Evelyn Pop hashtag on Twitter, and she named it #Death Bus 509. You're waiting for a tragedy to happen. It doesn't need to happen. All we want is a second bus. And you just need a bus from the Beltline to the Region and Royal. That's it, an extra bus for that to transport the people that need to be there at the same time. We had to leave 15 people yesterday. And out of those 15 people, some of the people were sent home without pay, and some of the people were not coming back. That's all we want, is somebody to just hear us. I have 53 individuals who signed asking for help. There are pictures. I myself have pictures on my phone to show you guys your overcrowded bus. All we want is help. Tom?
Thank you for coming. And would you speak with Mr. Todd Pleston? Thank you.
You're welcome.
Next speaker is Terry Yarborough. And after Mr. Yarborough, Mr. Salvangelo.
To address the issue, as I have half dozen times this year and last year, about the safety and security and health of the riders of D.A.R.T. in and around train stations, transit centers, and the like. I've been told that if I call the D.A.R.T. police, the police officer will be dispatched to my location if there's a problem. I call in, I'm told that no police are going to be dispatched to my location. I asked 4 times for police to be dispatched to my location last week. When I called in, was told none would be dispatched. That didn't have an officer available, no officer would be dispatched. When people were there in violation of the D.A.R.T. Code of Conduct, it escalated. The person in violation of the D.A.R.T. Code of Conduct on one of the buses, and the bus was in violation of the D.A.R.T. Code of Conduct. The operator of the bus had to ask him not to pollute the air on the bus. Other people were having to breathe. When I call the D.A.R.T. police and can't get a response to me, and can't get an officer out to where I am, and my health and life and safety is in jeopardy, what am I supposed to do? And I asked 4 times to the operator when I called in at approximately 10 o'clock last Wednesday night, who is supposed to enforce the D.A.R.T. Code of Conduct at this moment, at this train station, at this transit center? I was not given an answer. I talked to the chief of police of D.A.R.T. Friday on the phone, and he told me, well, D.A.R.T's not going to dispatch a police officer every time there's a problem. The operator knows what the problems are and prioritizes the calls and may or may not dispatch a police officer. police officers aren't going to dispatch, who is going to enforce the dark code of conduct? Or is it going to be like it has been, not enforcing it for not a part of the code of conduct and not a dark rule? Because it's not enforced, it's not a rule. And is there not going to be a dark code of conduct after the training sessions, the transit centers closed, or on weekends, or any other time there's not anybody around to enforce it? And what am I supposed to do when I have a problem that affects my health or life or safety or health? And I'm there with people attacking me, with people putting toxic poison in my face and things like that. What am I supposed to do? And I've addressed this with Captain Golden in the summertime before he retired, and he told me that they would always send a dark police officer there. They would always dispatch him. And he had told the operators and the ones in charge of answering the phone there that same thing. I've talked to Deputy Chief Addison, he tells me the same thing. Now I've talked to the chief on the phone, he has a whole different story, but they may or may not dispatch a police officer, depending on who's available and what else is going on at the moment. So I don't know who is supposed to enforce the dark code of conduct, or if it's going to be enforced at all, or if it's going to throw it out the window and not even have a dark code of conduct. If we're going to have it, it has to be enforced. If it's not going to be enforced, we need to stop making a joke out of it and saying this code of conduct, we're not enforcing it. Either enforce it or throw it out.
Mr. Yarborough, if you like, Deputy Chief
and what is that going to do?
Well, I'll tell you a lot of good when we speak with him. Our next speaker is Mr. Iboschi. I'm starting over. Iboschi. How do you know? We come here to do a job, and I feel that we do it very well. We come here to provide a service to our customers / passengers. I think, and we think, that we do it extremely well, but we don't complain. We come to you asking for your help. We come to you asking for you to listen to us. See, because we the ones that do the work. We the ones that take care of our passengers. And all we ask is for your help. Now, I got issues. We implement the LED lights, the go passes, things to magnify dark, things to make dark look good. And then yet, we sit back and we watch the teachers get laid off. We watch the schools get closed down. So I ask you this question. If there's no one to teach, who's going to read these things that we're implementing throughout the world? Now, I don't want to beat up on MD, but I also heard that we have consistent issues on that side. We got passengers here that are telling you that the taxi cabs are unsafe, they are unreliable, and why should they have to when they're paying their money? The drivers are doing everything they can. They're getting overbooked, they're getting add-ons, simply because the passengers are telling them, I'm not going to ride in your taxi cab. Now, my question to you is, the drivers coming to you not complaining, only thing they come to you is asking for your help. The passengers are coming to you saying, hey, that's not what we want. So this is the question that I have for you. When will you choose to listen to us? See, because we make you look good when you don't look good. Now, we might be the hall that provides the bacon, but we will not let you cut the fat off your employees' supersede your Eagles. Thank you. Next speaker is Mr. Saul D'Angelo.
Good evening. Is the D.A.R.T board aware that the D.A.R.T has recently been invoiced approximately $1.2 million for possibly defaulting on a fully executed contract? The contract is for an overhaul of 2 Trinity Railway Express passenger cars that have been idle at the Trinity Railway Express Urban Yard and out of revenue producing service for approximately 18 months each. This has been due to dubious decisions made by D.A.R.T senior staff to possibly renege on the overhaul contract. D.A.R.T's Trinity Railway Express VP and D.A.R.T's Vice President of Growth have continually refused to ship the cars and have disregarded the advice of D.A.R.T's Senior Procurement Vice President and Procurement Specialist who was assigned to the overhaul project, and the then Trinity Railway Express Chief Mechanical Officer to ship the cars for overhaul. The refusal to ship the cars is because of a dispute with the overhaul vendor over $400 worth of parts that are due to be replaced upon that overhaul process at the vendor's facility and are not required for shipment to the vendor. The concern broached is the potential of needless expense shipping back numerous loose parts from the contract's cancellation and possible litigation costs to D.A.R.T, and ultimately, and most importantly, a $1.2 million expense or more to the taxpayer. Please advise as to D.A.R.T's course of action, and I would request that preceding presentations that I made, that I could get those in writing, please. Thank you.
Thank you. We have no other registered speakers. Are there any other speakers? It is 7:15 and this D.A.R.T meeting is adjourned.